Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is for you. This is the Den, episode number 17, our pregame coverage of the game versus the Carolina Panthers. My name is Steve, aka Bronx, and I'm joined by.
That AKB, but we made it. Another pregame. We're not missing this one like we did 2 weeks ago. It's a little
Yeah,
late here for both of us. Just finished watching UFC 307. Obviously, this isn't a UFC podcast, but great main event between Pereira and Roundtree. But yeah, preseason Carolina Panthers week 5.
how was your day today, man?
It was good. I had some family visit again for like the third week in a row. Had some family visit. Went out to dinner, and then I just watched UFC. I did miss the early prelims, but I was able to catch the end of the prelims and then the whole main card. So I was pretty happy about that. How was your
Nice.
day?
Is there some good food out there or what?
I don't know, man. This is the thing. Good like diners, but I haven't come across anything that I would say couldn't be replicated in Chicago.
Gotcha.
Like
Gotcha.
everything I found out here is like food you find in Chicago at the same. I mean, like the diner we always go to is like it's good food. It's like good diner food, but it's not like it's nothing you'd find in Chicago per se. They don't have a Maxwell Street Polish out here, unfortunately. Um,
uh,
yeah,
my day was good. A little bit busy, getting everything ready, getting everything packed up. To go to Rome first and then London. So busy day. Got to relax. St. Ed's had their little harvest fest that the kids got to go to. So overall, busy day, but we're all packed up. We're ready to go. So
how'd we do Friday? ND.
uh, I didn't
Yeah.
stay. I mean, I didn't see any of it. Geo lost a lot to a little. I think it was like 30-7.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's to be expected. Like that, I once again I said it before. Their offense is both offense, varsity and sophomore level is just I it's bad. The playmakers aren't being put in situations that they need to be, especially on the varsity level. And then Geo's team. Geo actually played both ways. Almost blocked an extra point. Like I have the video of it. It like hits his hand, and his
Mhm.
hand just goes back, and he's like this afterwards, like just frustrated. Like it seemed like every time he got penetration, they were running the other way. So he'd be there, but nobody would be there because they run that goofy offense. JCA does all those goofy motions and reminds me of like
They
Navy.
do. My friends who used to play would always say they hated playing GCA.
Yeah,
JCA, they do some like stupid like not like a three wide, but they got some weird
and they have
like
three running backs. So they
yeah,
have like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
two like
Like it looks like
two.
a victory formation, right? Like two on the
It's like a big,
sides.
it's like a big circle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
I've
it's
heard from
weird motions
people.
everywhere. It's yeah, it reminds me of Carmel. Carmel does that too. Not Mount Carmel, Carmel.
Okay.
Um, But yeah, moving on. The importance. So the importance of this week 5. This is week 5, right? Yeah,
Yes,
we're
sir.
two and
I
two.
think so, right?
Yeah, we're 2 and 2. Can Caleb continue to progress? So each week we've seen a growth in a different area of his game. Can he continue to take steps forward? I don't know what he's going to work on this week. Last week it seemed like it was stepping up in the pocket. Um, the week before that was the Colts game where he was like airing it out, taking risks. And then the week before that was the Texans where he's getting comfortable, trying to make throws on the run. I don't know, but he's getting better and better and better. Last week we said he was more like a game manager. So this week I want to see him try and stretch the field. Can the defense continue to take the ball away? I think they've taken a ball away each 4 straight games. Um, and currently, we have the longest winning streak at home with 7 straight
Yes,
wins.
7.
Can they make it 8? Do they make it 8 against this Carolina Panthers team? But yeah, moving on, our key matchups to watch. The quarterback duel. It's Caleb Williams. Caleb's emphasis last week was stepping up in the pocket and also not forcing passes. We saw a lot of checkdowns to Swift, who came away with 7 catches last week. I would like to see him take risks this week and try and push the ball down the field against a terrible defense, just an absolutely terrible defense.
Worst
Uh,
team in the league. I mean, no matter what
mm,
way you spin it, in
I
my
wouldn't say
opinion.
worst.
You say the Patriots, but I don't know. I think the
Patriots.
Patriots have at least some redeemable qualities. I don't think the Panthers have fucking any. But
And then obviously it's Caleb Williams against Andy Dalton. Is this a revenge game for him? He had his last revenge game against Cincinnati. It did not go so well for him.
no,
Um, but the game before that, he played exceptional. But his sort of knocks in his career is he struggles like under pressure, or not under pressure, but while he's facing pressure. But he's successful during play action, and right now he's playing some of the best football of his career. So we'll see if that continues for Andy Dalton. That's a key matchup for us to watch. But once again, moving forward, as we have in the last few podcasts, we're going offensive line versus the Bears offensive line versus the Panthers D line. Once again, as in the previous 2 weeks, we're facing a team that is currently ranked 29th in run defense. This week is key. If we have a poor week against, let's be serious, a terrible D line, that's not going to bode well moving forward, especially against teams in our division. Right? If we can't beat up a terrible defense and a terrible defensive line and get the ball moving and continue to progress with this run game, uh, we're going to get swept in our division, like eh,
yeah,
easily.
bad. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said in the last episode, Green Bay, before I thought our only chance to win a game in our division was against Minnesota at home. Truly, I think that's flipped. I think our only chance now might be, Green Bay at home, depending on how
Yeah.
their QB situation is looking. Because I mean, Minnesota's looking deadly. We knew Detroit was going to be good coming into the year, and to say our only shot is against a Green Bay team that I think just outclasses us in terms of maybe not skill straight up, but experience. I think is a big thing that Green Bay team has. That it's just like, you know, even that potential win at home against Green Bay is still a big what if. So we
Mhm.
could get swept in the division. I mean, unless something drastically changes with Minnesota to where, I think we could grab a
To where
victory from them. I
Sam Darnold starts playing like Sam Darnold.
Maybe it's been an organizational thing, man. What are you gonna say? Carolina and the New York
He was in
Jets.
San Francisco.
True. What was he in San Francisco like? What, the year before Garoppolo, right? He was
No,
Garoppolo's backup.
he was last year. Last year he was in San Fran. He was in the Super Bowl.
But did Purdy get hurt?
Mm,
Because I
he played
saw
a
him in his
couple
San
games.
Fran uniform, unless it was like a preseason clip.
No, he played a few games. I think Purdy did get banged up a little bit.
Hmm. Anyways,
All right, moving on. The Panthers O line versus the Bears D line. Our D line continues to apply pressure. It's going to be key to get pressure from Dexter, Williams, and Billings. So our big boys in the middle. Andy Dalton is known for his struggles when facing pressure, and especially when it comes from the middle. So if we can get a good push, they're without their center. There, I was when I was looking at the injury report. I don't think I put it on here, but I have the Bears. Um, the laundry list of names on the Panthers injury list is insane. And a couple of them are offensive linemen, so it doesn't bode well for Dalton. But if we're not applying to Dalton pressure to Dalton, he's a veteran and he's coming off of 2 incredible games. He can pick us apart as Stafford did when he's given time. Uh, and if the run game is successful, play action. That's literally his best stat. Is every single is when it's coming off of a play action pass.
Mhm.
So it's going to be key. I think the Bears D line dominates this week. I think Dalton eats the turf quite a bit, and especially from the middle. Dexter's playing insane. and he needs to keep that up this week.
Mhm.
Any thoughts?
No, only just that, our only threat, I think, we're past the QB section, but like you were just saying, is Sam Darnold, because this is not a Matt Stafford who's played against the Bears 22 times. This is a dude who has played for the Bears under a Matt Eberflus administration, right? So he might not know what's going on offense. That doesn't really concern him, right? But he knows how Eberflus likes to run his defense, and
Yeah,
I think this is kind of an outlier in terms of like you didn't see this coming, but when you really look at it, right, we thought maybe Bryce Young would be starting this game, but when you really look at it, no one I think all year is going to be able to read and pick apart our defense like Andy Dalton might be able to if he plays to his full
yeah,
potential. So same as like we said with Stafford, just be careful, just mix up looks, make sure we're covering everything, make him beat us where it's difficult.
yeah.
That's really my only take.
Hmm. That's a good point. I forgot that he played under
Yeah.
Eberflus. I thought he was. No. Oh wow. Yeah, he's gonna know that defense,
Yeah.
and
At
he's
least
a
sounds
vet
like he's
too.
playing. Yeah.
He's a vet too. I mean, he's seen it all. Moving on, our next segment: game plan and strategy. The Chicago Bears strategy offensively. We have to continue the momentum we had from last week, especially when running the ball. Once again, this is not a good defense we're playing, but even worse against the run. So if we can find a way to continue this run game to keep it going and force maybe those safeties to drop in the box, uh, that's when I want Caleb to take his shots deep, especially to Rome and DJ, who can be deep ball threats, who we know are going to beat their guy off the ball, and that's where play action is going to come in handy. That's where RPOs are going to be incredibly important for Caleb. And like we've said, the run game just makes it so much easier for Caleb in the long term, right? Because defenses aren't going to pin their ears back and just rush six at Caleb, send blitzes at him if they know we're our run game is on point. Defensively, we got to find a way to shut down Chuba Hubbard. Uh, Obviously, it's easier said than done. He's currently averaging 5.4 yards a carry, and as we've noticed in weeks past, there's been times where we have been unable to stop the run, and especially against a guy like Dalton who thrives in play action. We definitely have to find a way to slow down Chuba Hubbard. Is it Chuba?
I have no idea. I think I've heard Chuba. I don't know.
Mm.
Doesn't matter. He's not on the Bears, so
Nah, yeah, but he's averaging 5 point yards to carry. He's playing well, and that's I'm sure is key to Andy Dalton's early success coming in for Bryce. But any thoughts on the offensive and defensive game plan?
No, I mean, just like I said last week, defense is our defense. I don't think Eberflus has an issue with that, but I think on offense, like I said, iron out what works for us. Right, run some stupid plays. To put it pretty bluntly, don't do anything that's going to lose us the game. But right, last week we saw the Bears for the first time this season at least do what works. I guess right, the run is
Mhm.
working, pound the run. I want to see them try to implement that same game plan, but at the same time, try to do new things that work,
Mhm.
right? Like try to find a receiver that's feeling it, or just try to get comfortable because you're not going to get an easier opponent than this.
Yeah,
Knock on wood. So just kind of
yeah,
try stuff out, basically.
yeah. Panther strategy. What we think the Panther strategy should be against our Bears. Offensively, they got to find a way to soften up the front, and the only way to do that is feeding Chuba, whatever Hubbard. The Bears' only weakness on D has been their run defense, which currently ranks 19th in the NFL. And I've said it 2, 3, 4 times. I'm going to say it one more time. Andy Dalton's career, he is most successful when utilizing the play action. So they have to get the run game going early and often and soften our D up and maybe get our safeties in the box and take some shots that way. Defensively, they have to stop the Bears' rushing momentum. It's been shown that Caleb is still young and susceptible to rookie mistakes. So if you shut down Swift, you shut down Johnson. Caleb's going to be forced to beat you, which right now, at this point in his career, he's already shown that he literally can't do it by himself, throwing the ball 52 times against the Colts. He's bound to make mistakes. If the Panthers get him to throw it 40 times in the game, I think it's a bad look for the Bears, and we're in trouble unless somehow he's cooking and hitting those deep balls. But right now, he hasn't really shown that. Any thoughts?
You know, offensive is like we've been through this. I follow the Bears. I don't really follow the NFL, so offense I don't really have um much of a take on that. But
Hmm.
for or excuse me, like for their defensive strategy, excuse me, or
Hmm.
excuse no, for their offensive strategy, right against our really good defense. But for their um defensive strategy, you know, if they could stop the run game, we're going to be in a really bad way. Just because before the season started, I would have said this was an easy win, but after some things that I've seen this year, nothing's set in stone. Like you said, Caleb will definitely make mistakes, and if they can just put that pressure on him, we've seen players getting frustrated and just how it is, where it's like you constantly watch and even in our best of games or our best moments in the year, you kind of look and when you really think back, right, on the highlight reel, it might be Caleb throwing a 30-yard pass to Rome, but would we even be in this game without our defense? Probably not.
Hmm.
So as long as the defensive strategy is like you said, if we can pressure Caleb, if I was Carolina, I would just fucking clog the middle. Any run, it's not happening. Um, and the more you get Caleb to throw, you know, that is less productive, right? You need to get a run game going to get an effective passing game, and two,
Hmm.
Caleb's gonna make mistakes, like you said. So if they can stop the run game, we might be in a bad way. I don't know. Maybe Caleb has a generational game. I hope so. But yeah, stop the run game. That's about it. I don't know anything about their offensive strategy.
Yeah. Moving on to our next segment. It's the injury report. We are just going to cover the Bears because it was like 15 or 16 names on the Panthers one that I just didn't feel like typing it all out. But for the Bears, Tevin Jenkins, he suffered the rib injury last week, did not return to the game. DeAndre Carter also suffered a rib injury, but they are both questionable. I think they're both leaning towards playing, but we'll see. But Terrell Smith and Zach Pickens, Terrell Smith dealing with a hip injury, Zach Pickens dealing with a groin that's kept him out. I think he's only played once this year. Those guys are both out for the game Sunday. Um, yeah, I mean, Tevin Jenkins he hasn't been playing well, but I don't think his replacement Nate Davis or Matt Pryor are playing any better. So wouldn't hurt to have him out there, but um, you know, if need be, Matt Pryor will fill in. Moving on, our next segment, the players to watch are PT Dubs. Uh, Early on in the season, I said Caleb Williams was way too easy of a pick, but for me, I'm choosing Caleb Williams in this week, and specifically coming off of a week where he was a game manager. He threw for 157 yards and a touchdown. I want this to be his best and most efficient game. Like I want to see a 70% completion rate or higher. Um, and this is probably by far the worst defense that they will face this year. I want to see him take the shots downfield. I want to see him throw the ball to DJ Moore. That's not a damn screen. Uh, And if he does those things, he's going to be successful. Week one was sort of his welcome to the NFL, so I washed that one away. Week two, uh, his goal week two was probably just be better than he was week one, which he was. Week three we saw him going through his progressions and um, finding dump offs or finding the hot route on a blitz. And then week four, it seemed like every chance he got, he was stepping up into the pocket. So this week, week five, my challenge to Caleb is to be more efficient, but especially on the deep balls. We've seen it all year long where his deep ball is just not accurate. I think he's only got like one pass of like 35 yards or more. So I want to see him, uh, you know, be more efficient. Currently, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. He's 3 for 19 on throws of 15 yards or more, um, and for 93 yards, one touchdown, and four interceptions. So all four of his interceptions this year are all on balls that are 15 yards or further. So becoming more efficient, Caleb Williams, he's my player to watch. Defensive wise, it's Kevin Byard the third. Our defense right now is playing lights out. It's kept us in games. It's made our games winnable. Holding the Rams last week to what, four field goals? They're in their like first five or six possessions is incredible. Um, we've had one turnover or more in each game, but I want our vet, right? This guy's a vet. He's a former All Pro. I want him to start showing up and playing like that All Pro. He has yet to force a turnover, but I think this week he's going to get Dalton. Mark it down. Kevin Byard, the third, is getting an interception off of Andy Dalton this week. Those are my players to watch.
Okay.
Matt, what are yours?
So my player to watch on offense is Keenan Allen. He's coming back after last week. To be honest with you, I was surprised he came back last week. I didn't think so. I don't know if you thought so. I didn't think he was going to be back last week, and I'm looking for him this week to be what we've talked about since the beginning of the season, right? That safety guy for Caleb, and I think this kind of follows
Mm-hmm.
along with what you said about Caleb. I want him to be that guy that is making space, especially in like the short to mid-range yardage in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of the field for Caleb, the guy that he can go to that to just get comfortable, right? And we said this before. I think that's what he's been missing, right? He's been trying to go for Rome, who I think is going for bigger yardage, and DJ, who wants to do the same thing. And I think Keenan Allen is the most settled into okay to being that short to mid range guy. And I think he can really help Caleb out. And I'm also looking for him to have his first standout game as a Chicago Bear. There's not really much more than that. I think this falls more on I want him to help Caleb than it is that I hope he gets 200 yards and 5 touchdowns or anything like that. And then
Mm-hmm.
my defensive player is Montez Sweat. I know it doesn't say that on there. It's kind of messed up, but I have Montez Sweat, and kind of similar to what you said with Caleb. I think it's earlier in the year. You'd say it's kind of a freebie, but I think he's kind of had a slower start to the year than we expected. Well, actually, I take it back. He's had a slower start to the year, but I don't think we expected that, right? Looking at how the Bears O line was formed at the beginning of the year, people were not thinking, they were sure that he was going to get doubled a lot, right? He was the big
Mm-hmm.
threat, right? He's that guy that when you look at the line, you're like, okay, this is the guy we need to make sure doesn't get to our quarterback. And I think teams have done a good job of that. But I think, if there's ever a team to just, break through the line and get to the quarterback, it's these guys. So I'm looking to have Montez Sweat have a big game. I don't know if it's a sack, maybe half a sack, at least more pressures than I think he's been getting. And, I'm not going to sit here and say that's on him because, like we said, I think he's easily getting the most attention on our offensive line out of
Mm-hmm.
anyone. But I want to see him just, show what he's got against a team that is, objectively bad, that we can just kind of try to put the hurt on, take out all of our anger. Um, the Colts loss and um, you know, just yeah. I just think you just gotta go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Keenan Allen on defense and or excuse me, Keenan Allen on offense and Montez Sweat on defense for this week.
W. I like those picks. I think Keenan, like especially early in the Ram, he was targeted early in the Rams game, but then kind of tailed off. So if he sticks with it, I think Keenan Allen could have a breakout game. And Montez Sweat, he had the sack fumble last week, but that was only his second sack in 4 games. So
Yeah,
um,
two
we'll see
seconds.
moving forward. Yeah. Moving on, our last and final segment of the podcast, our score predictions. I have the Bears winning big. I think Andy Dalton plays like the backup he is. I have the Bears winning 28-10. I think Caleb has at least 2 touchdowns, and Swift adds one on the ground. And maybe that interception that Byard gets tomorrow or Sunday is maybe that's a pick six. But either way, Bears win 28-10. Matt, your prediction?
I got Bears 24-13. I think, in my head, originally I was like, I'm thinking Bears like 24-9. But I do think Carolina's going to find the end zone. I think our defense has had a lot of trouble on two fronts. A, stopping a lot of middle of the field stuff. I don't
Hmm.
know if that's because of whatever kind of, we have our safeties deep or whatever.
Hmm.
And then, we have had a bit of a goal line run issue in my opinion. I think our run defense, especially inside the red zone, has been a little lackluster. I don't know if Eberflus was expecting people to pass it more, but I'm just specifically thinking of like that one Jonathan Taylor run that was like fucking 18 yards inside the red zone, and I think Kyron Williams, right, scored the only touchdown in the Rams game for them.
Yeah, Williams
Yeah.
did score on from
So
like the three, but it was a big run by him before that to get him
yeah.
into.
So I think just our run defense inside the red zone is bad. I don't know if Eberflus is looking for teams to keep passing once they get inside our 40. But yeah, I have 24-13 because I think they will find the end zone because once they get into the red zone, I think their runs may be able to carry them there. But I do think, like kind of similar to you, the Bears just dominate. I think they might
Mhm.
find the touchdown a little bit earlier, but I think they're not going to find anything after that, and the Bears are going to find pretty decent success. I think I'm thinking 3 touchdowns and a field goal. So I'm kind of on the same page as you. I think it's going to be slightly closer, but not close enough to even call it a close game. I have 24-13 Bears.
And that about does it
That about does
for
it.
episode number 17.
Quick
We will
episode.
catch you. Huh?
Just a quick episode.
Yeah.
Not the toughest team the Bears are going to see, so not much to touch on. Let's
Nah,
just
not
kind
much.
of
If
throw,
you're watching on YouTube,
throw the kitchen sink at these guys.
yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button and the subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, go ahead, hit the subscribe there. I appreciate you all for watching, tuning in to episode 17. We'll catch you for the post game, episode number 18. I'll be in Italy.
I'll be still in my dorm room, unfortunately.